Okay, so right now in this room among us, we have the baby boomers. Born after World War II, they were named because the birth rate skyrocketed during that age. Next, we have Generation X, born in the 60s and 70s, which remained unnamed for many years. And finally, we have the Millennials. A new millennium, a new 1,000 years of Korean history. So the name seems like a lot to live up to. Sorry about that. Good evening, everyone. I'm Hyunjeong Rhee from Clothing and Textiles, and today I'd like to talk about the millennial generation, my generation. So why is this important? Well, former US President Ronald Reagan once said, each generation goes further than the generation preceding it because it stands on the shoulders of that generation. But for us to go further, for us to go anywhere, we need to know where we stand. And one of the first steps is to understand about the millennials. To both millennials and non-millennials in the audience, my goal is to rectify any wrong impressions and to emphasize that proper understanding is crucial for our future. My presentation will be consisted of 3 parts. First, I'll explain the facts and the common perceptions regarding the millennials. Next, I'll define my topic using 2 keywords. The first, confidence, and the second one, confusion. So let me begin by telling you what the dictionary and the media says about millennials. Millennials are the generation born in the late 80s up to when the new millennium began. And according to US Census data, they are the biggest generation, with 75.4 million, taking up almost a fourth of the US population. And interestingly, they're depicted in very negative ways in the media. A 2013 Time article was titled, Millennials, the me generation. And that's how many people view the millennials. Lazy, entitled, out of touch with reality. But for now, let's forget about these perceptions. What really defines my generation compared to the preceding ones? My first keyword is confidence. Millennials received a great deal of encouragement starting from when they were educated as kids. And after Nathaniel Branden's The Psychology of Self-Esteem was first published in 1969, the self-esteem movement raged, and parents and teachers made sure that our childhood was filled with praise. Next, millennials grew up with technology. After the World Wide Web was first opened up in 1993 to the public, we grew up with the digital revolution that followed. And in today's digital era, millennials feel confident that they're equipped because they're tech savvy. And finally, we grew up watching various famous figures, such as Steve Jobs or Bill Gates, and we saw their achievements broadcasted online, on SNS, everywhere. All of this encouragement provided to us by our supervisors and the media has boosted the millennials' confidence. But false confidence can lead to confusion, which brings me to my next keyword. My next keyword that I will use to define the millennials is confusion. First of all, our close proximity to digital devices floods us with tons of information every day on TV, on SNS, on the news. Various beliefs clash, and millennials who've just come of age and are barely adults don't know what to believe. Furthermore, millennials are confused by the reality that is so different from what they've been told as a child. According to a research report by the US Chamber Foundation, 2/3 of millennials predicted that their performance would be of the top 20% of their population. So here's the thing. What happens to the 40-something percent that doesn't make the cut? Ladies and gentlemen, reality is cruel. The unemployment rate is getting worse, the economy is unstable, and millennials who've been told that they're a winner for the whole time of their childhood are confused about what to believe and what to do. So now that I've went over the main points of my presentation, let me wrap it up for you. When my grandfather was my age, he packed his bags to flee on foot from a war that had struck his hometown. When my father was my age, he witnessed a protest that would change the future of Korea forever. But I have never been through a war. I have never played a part in changing the future of Korea. Well, at least not yet. The thing is, us millennials have been through a different time, and therefore we've grown to differ greatly from preceding generations. But the thing is, my point isn't that millennials are perfect, that we're flawless, that we're to be accepted for what we are. What I would like to say is, the world of change is coming. There's no doubt about it. In fact, it's already here. And in today's rapidly changing world, we cannot afford to make generation gaps interfere with the world that we have to make together. We need to abandon wrong impressions. Millennials and all generations that are currently coexisting with us must understand what we are and why we are so to make a better future for generations to come. Thank you so much for listening. It was an honor to speak.